Hey, my name is Claire Dooley, you're watching CHG TV, and welcome to the Geoengineering Report, where we identify the threat in the skies. Though I consider our ecosystem mighty, sometimes the smallest catalysts can create a butterfly effect that would lead some people to call it fragile. And yes, I know this can be a difficult pill to swallow, but it is important that we look at the seriousness of the imminent issues we are facing. For many of us, we don't even know where to begin in uncovering the changes that are bringing about this collapse. We hear a lot of echoes about climate change and going green, using electric vehicles, green energy. But we actually are going to bring on our expert, Dane Wigington, and he's going to explain to us how we got in the situation we're in. Take a listen.
Okay, Dane, thank you for being here yet again. Let's start with this headline. From The Guardian, trees and land absorbed almost no CO2 last year. Is nature's carbon sink failing? The sudden collapse of carbon sinks were not factored into climate models and could rapidly accelerate global heating. So we want to know why that is not headline news everywhere. Dane, talk us through that.
The planet has very complex systems that have kept an equilibrium that are now broken. And there's many factors breaking them. I want to make that clear because we've seen too many people from various sides of the fence, all with a certain perspective. It's just this or it's just that. And that's the dichotomous thinking that we've been trained, right, Polly? I mean, how many times have we heard from official sources, you're either on the blue team or the red team, or we're taught to think like this from the time in our youth. And it's a very complex scenario that's breaking the planet's life support systems, many forms of damage, climate engineering being at the top of that list, by the way, Polly. But the gravity of that headline can't be overstated. What it means is the planet is no longer breathing, respirating, the life support systems of the forest, not absorbing carbon, not releasing oxygen. This is an incredibly ominous moment in our history.
So when people say, oh, climate change, it's all nonsense, it's all made up, what do you say to that? Because there's still people in our movement saying that.
Oh, there's way too many, and it's incredibly perplexing to me because that conclusion is to say nothing we do damages the planet. Nothing. It all magically fixes itself, and will always be fine no matter how much we abuse this miracle planet. And that's really perplexing to me. Any form of human activity that affects the energy balance of the planet is a part of the problem. And I think it would be incredibly irrational, obviously, to deny that we've been really bad stewards of planet Earth. I mean, we've poisoned the oceans, we've cut down the forests, we're dumping hundreds of millions of tons of filth into the sky every day, and people pretend there's no problem with that. And Paulie, I think part of that is people justifiably have so much disdain for individuals like Al Gore and the environmental groups that won't admit to the single most damaging factor of all, which is climate intervention operations. So people have such disdain for these individuals and their hypocrisy that they then just take the opposite position. And that's not really rational either, is it? I mean, if Al Gore said it was daytime and it was, should we take the position that it's night, even if it's not? So again, I'm asking people to understand that if we're going to build bridges in this battle, we need to recognize we've been really bad stewards of the planet, endless source of damage in many ways, but we all agree we shouldn't intervene with these systems and make it worse with climate intervention. If we don't stop that, we're definitely done. And I mean in the extremely short term.
But also there are bad headlines when it comes to climate engineering or whatever. When they blame the cows and stuff, they're causing divide between us all by putting ridiculous headlines out and missing the truth. So everybody's getting confused and screaming, no climate change because of the cows or whatever it is. So We're being messed around with.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, the cow flatulence argument, the problem with our atmospheric greenhouse gases is not cow flatulence. That's just simply used as a wedge in society, as you correctly just stated. But methane is a massive problem. So if we go back to the Bermuda Triangle scenario, which I'm sure most people are aware of that scenario, we know what that is. It's not disputed scientifically at this point. It's massive methane release from the sea floor as the oceans are warming, and they're superheating, by the way. Formerly frozen massive methane fields on the sea floor release, often all at once, when that happens, it's like a giant column of bubbles going up through the ocean, and it aerates the ocean, and any surface vessel above that has no buoyancy. It sinks intact. And that's what's been happening for decades. And now we have that happening on an even bigger scale in the Arctic, in the seafloor. And that methane, because it's lighter than air, migrates into the atmosphere, starts to cover the planet like a layer of glass. So again, we have these massive sources of methane. And yet what's media direct us to? Cow flatulence by design, because they don't want people to Google Siberian methane craters and look at those images, which are so far beyond shocking. It looks like nuclear bomb detonations, because methane is literally exploding out of the tundra and the seafloor. So again, we have a lot of smoke and mirrors going on, Polly, that are by design meant to distract populations, keep them in normalcy bias while the planet's life support systems are failing. And climate engineering is furthering that process, not mitigating it.
Well, we've got another headline on the drought. The system that moves water around the Earth is off balance for the first time in human history. This is CNN Climate reporting. So what has that got to do with geoengineering?
Everything. It's got everything to do with climate engineering. So we know that, and I've tried to warn about this for the last 15 years at geoengineeringwatch.org. So why did it take the so-called climate science community so long to catch up? Because they can't hide it anymore. That's the only reason they're disclosing it now. They're paid or under gag orders, a non-disclosure agreement, NDAs, to not disclose this in the case of National Weather Service or National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. When you intervene with the climate on this scale, you have to derail the entire hydrological cycle. And that's exactly what they've done. So, Polly, on a warming planet, and the planet is absolutely in meltdown, and I whatever people's opinions are, and again, their disdain for Al Gore, please look at facts, please look at data, and understand it's not just daytime highs, it's nighttime lows that are escalating twice as fast, because that heat's being trapped, and climate engineering is a big part of that. It's trapping more heat than it deflects. There's nothing benevolent about these programs, but the bottom line, a rapidly warming planet must produce more rain overall, not less. Because, Polly, the atmosphere holds 7% more moisture for every degree C of warming, and we're likely past 3.5 C now. How can it not be raining more overall? And yes, we have these massive floods in North Dakota, and I think there was just a big flood in Poland, Italy. But overall, there's more protracted drought. That can't happen. The laws of physics say that can't happen unless there's a factor we're not being told about, and that factor is climate engineering. So back to that NOAA map, where it shows the cooler western half of the U.S., much of that moisture will be dried up from the desiccant particles that are being sprayed into cloud moisture. It dries up much of that moisture in the cool-off process, so it disrupts the hydrological cycle. So again, from every conceivable direction, Polly, climate engineering is completely derailing the planet's primary life support systems.
As always, send us your pictures of chemtrails and any questions you would like to ask Dane to goodmorningshd@childrenshealthdefense.org. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Geoengineering Report.